as it is now 6:30. Everybody would stand and join me for the pledge.
Wow.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do we have any agenda adjustments? Number 2, the consideration of our minutes. 2.1, to approve the minutes of the December 14th, 2022 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Jen?
On the CAI report, I was the one who reported out. Christy was in attendance, but she gets to do policy and personnel. I get to do CAI.
I was just curious at the bus driver that was hired, was that needing to be in one of the appointments or under the 5.5B, Jonathan Barney said that there was a recently hired part-time bus driver who worked at RSU4, but I looked back through the minutes and I didn't see that they were actually appointed. Did they need to be, or because they were a previous employee?
She was hired as a sub only at the beginning.
Okay.
So it would be an appointment.
I think she was actually hired the Monday after our meeting.
We hired on as a sub, long-term sub.
Oh, as a long-term sub.
So just for clarification, subs don't need to be appointed when they're...
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Yep.
They're
Good
appointed.
clarification.
They're hired by the superintendent, not by the building. But you would
Anything
normally see
else? With no further discussion, I'd go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not?
Abstain.
And abstaining? Thank you. We'll move on to our public comment. I ask that if you do join us here up front at the mic, that you let us know who you are and what town you are. Please refrain from using names of students, teachers, or anything like that. And so if anybody's here who'd like to make a comment, I'd ask you to step up to the mic now. There's nobody online. Seeing as there's none, we'll move on. Any petitions and communications? No. For reports, the superintendent report.
Hi, thank you. I do want to note under appointments and resignations that Donna Brown did pass away shortly after her resignation, so I just want to put out our sympathy to her family, but I do want to note that for the board. In addition to the superintendent report, I'll just highlight things from that. I did share with the board, we had our first safety committee meeting, which was a good kickoff to meet everybody and talk about some of the concerns folks had from each building. And then discuss survey information. We have had a couple questions from parents. When will the survey be put out regarding moving from late arrival to early release? And so I put in there what the process is going to be. The CAI committee will be reviewing the survey on the 25th, and then it will be made public to the different stakeholder groups in February, and then the committee will look at those results at their March meeting to give recommendations for the development of the calendar, which will be approved hopefully at the March 22nd meeting. So just so that you all know what the process is if you're asked around the survey. Then I did clarify around when we can do remote learning days, because we did have area school departments doing some remote days, and there was clarification through the Department of Education that if you're having a remote day due to sickness and illness, you can ask for a waiver. However, you cannot ask for a waiver if you're doing a remote day for a snow day regarding nutrition. So we still, for our snow days, have to do that. What I did note, and Kathy and I did some research on it, is if we decide, and this is something we can discuss at budget time, if we decide that we do want to do remote days on snow days, it would probably cost, and we would have to see for the first snow day what the actual cost would be, but it's about $4,200 would be expected because we looked at what we get for reimbursement on a monthly basis and divided that by the number of days to get kind of a average. I also put there so that you had cost prices for each meals and what we're reimbursed for. So we would have to budget that we're going to pay for meals on remote snow days. So that is not in the budget currently. Okay. So I wanted people to have that information. So if you're asked, why don't we have remote snow days? It's because we have to serve our meals on site in order to get reimbursement. And they have to eat the meals on site. So I wanted to make sure you had that. And then just went over, that wonderful process for deciding what we do on weather days, on snow days, and so forth. Not an easy decision, but it starts at 4:15 in the morning. So you're welcome to join the conversation if you'd like. No. And then we are hopeful that our audit will be complete in the next couple of weeks. Jessica and her team have been working really hard to keep providing information so that we can have that finalized. The other thing I wanted to add is I did add on the website page for the board, we added, and NJ, thank you to her team, added a roles and responsibilities, and I looked at your presentation and took out, there are about 11 slides on there, so that people went on, they could quickly see what you had for training. So that went on the page also. That's it.
Move on.
Can I have a question?
Sorry.
So on the snow days,
Yes.
so I don't know if my understanding is correct from what we had in the past. If we don't serve a lunch, it doesn't count as an instructional day.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so having snow days that are not remote is not an instructional day.
Correct.
All right. So all we're talking about.
Because it's made up. It's going to be made up in June.
Right, yeah, as long as we stay under, or we go over. If we don't go over the allotted amount, then we're still good. So we're just talking about having snow days where we typically would have served lunch perhaps, but we're gonna have it a remote day, and then we have to take the meals out around the community and deliver them? Is that how they get their meals?
So if we decide to pay for the meals, that's what we would have to do. And then we could either send them home the day before, or we could take them around. It's just that if we provide a meal that goes home, we have to pay for that. We will not get reimbursed for it.
Even for remote learning days?
Correct. You can't count it as instructional day unless they're eating on the premises.
As an instructional day, you can't even count as an instructional day?
Correct, because they have to be present for the day.
But that would outlaw use of any remote instructional days at all. If it can't count as an instructional day, if you're not gonna feed them on premise.
You can for illness right now, you can ask for a waiver. There's paperwork that the districts need to submit in order to have it waived that, because I talked to two of the superintendents and they sent meals home the day before. They anticipated it, so they sent meals home. And then they're asking for waivers for those meals, or they're going to pay for them.
Okay, I thought everything had changed, so if we had remote days, they actually accounted for instructional days. That's why they authorized you to have remote days, because they weren't even authorized before. Right.
Right.
So it doesn't make much sense to authorize you to have remote days and can't count it as an instructional day.
Right.
For snow days. This is for snow days. I'm talking about snow days.
Well, that's
You
the
mean
only
if-
time you'd have a remote day, right, unless you write it into your calendar, every Wednesday's going to remote day.
Correct.
That's not done yet.
No, you're correct.
You don't need
No,
Facebook to light up.
a question came up if some districts had remote days recently, not when there was a snow day, and asked how were they able to do that because they had to serve meals. And so there was a discussion on that. So it did count as an instruction day because they provided meals and they paid for them. or they're asking for a waiver to
They
be
paid
reimbursed.
for the meals, okay,
Or they're asking for a waiver to have their meals reimbursed.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. It's good questions, and we can also send you out the latest DOE memo on that.
And not to add like a layer of complexity to that, but if any route happened with that, would people be able to opt for like a cold lunch option that they didn't have to have the lunch come home and just throw it
I
away?
mean, if everybody agreed that they didn't need a lunch,
Well, yeah, like 90%, but you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I think it's because the number of students that we have for free and reduced lunch, that's what a lot of our reimbursable meals are for.
Jim? Yeah, and don't, I've beat this horse many, many times about snow days and makeup days and all that. Every day we have a snow day is a makeup day.
Yep.
We don't have any snow days built into the
Nope,
calendar,
we don't.
and that's always confused people.
Right.
We don't.
No.
Every day that's a snow day is a makeup day.
Right.
So if graduation or the end of school is June 8th, every day we have a snow day goes, we skip a day. Now, with our one-to-one laptop investment that we've made for years, we can have remote learning anytime we want. It's only the DOE in their archaic rules this is the way we've always done it. You have to pay for a lunch in order to have a instructional day. Okay, that's the rules, we have to follow them. But I'm saying to me, it's a snow day is a snow day. You're not going to get any more instruction June 9th than you did June 8th or the day after Memorial Day. We have teachers sitting right here and shaking her head yes every time I say that.
True.
So my point being is it's an archaic rule that the DOE has, and until it changes, we have to live underneath the rule.
Right, and I don't think it's just the DOE, I think it's probably federal lunch
Right.
programs. It's the federal government.
Right.
Because they gave the emergency waiver
Right,
around
during
remote,
COVID.
exactly.
Yeah.
They gave an emergency waiver on that,
So it's
yes.
probably the feds for reimbursement, but not
Correct,
for
the
an
feds
instructional day.
for reimbursement, yeah,
Right. Two different
yeah.
governing
They
authorities.
kind of, yeah. The thing I forgot to, Jill and I looked at a budget calendar, so I wanted to give you some dates so that you could prepare in your calendars. So one thing Jill and I talked about is the importance of probably having some of our meetings out in the community so that we could be located in each of the towns. And then Kathy and I were talking more about perhaps we could, and Jill and I could talk more, invite selectmen and so forth to have maybe a breakfast in our school the day of our meetings so that they could have more of an intimate discussion around what's going to be presented at that meeting so that they can feel we have come to visit, which I think you've done in the past. So you can see on February 8th, we would be here for goal setting. And then March 8th would be budget overview, cost centers, so that I would just cover what are going to be the drivers in this budget, and you could see that. And then March 15th would be a special meeting at the middle school for Sabatis, to invite the Sabatis folks in. And we would cover cost centers 1 through 7. Then March 22nd, which is a regular meeting, we'd have central office and cost centers 8 through 11. Then March 29th would be Carrie Ricker, which would be Litchfield's opportunity. And we would cover our EPS. Hopefully we would have all that by then. And discuss in prep for the April 12th meeting, which is your approval date. And then April 5th, a special meeting, if needed, would be here. And then Wales has the Oak Hill High School big public budget meeting, but they can also be invited to Litchfields and Sabatis as well. We don't want you to feel left out. And this is in Wales. We did say that. We did say every meeting as well. But if we want to have a special, we meet with selectmen and so forth, we can do that. So then we're due for the public meeting on the 17th, May 17th. Yes, Robbie,
Yeah, and I would love to tell everybody again, all our meetings are public.
exactly.
Anybody can sit out in the audience and look. Budget committees, select people, townspeople. Doesn't have to be at a special meeting. Can be anytime. And they're welcome to come. I'll invite anybody.
Yes.
Are these being sent to the select board?
Yes, I wanted to show it to you this evening. If there were questions or anything you want to change, then they'll get the dates and so forth, and then we'll do special invitations around having a more
Thank you.
informal meeting.
They could put that on the board
Website.
outside of Sabatis,
Yeah.
the town hall too. That would be a good place to have that.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Moving on, there's no assistant superintendent report. Financial report will be our next meeting. So we'll move on to administrators. First up is Mr. Miles and Ms. Stevens.
Hello, I'm Michaela and Dustin. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Libby Tozier School. And so we've been having a lot of Libby Tozier fun with especially our kindergartners with the Holidays Around the World activity that they did. It was really neat. Our teachers go all in every single time, where they each pick a country and then we'll do a craft that represents that country, and the kindergartners will have a little passport that they get stamped in each room, and they'll go around and have their passport and then get to share that at the end of the day. So it was just a fun activity that teachers put a lot of work into, and I wanted to share it with all of you tonight. The kids had a lot of fun with that. We also have been working on bus safety. It turned out really funny too. We went over with our SRO Megan some of the bus riding rules and just made it adapted to our pre-KK population. And then we did a little skit. As you can see, those are little pop-up bus tents, and we had a expected bus behavior and then an unexpected bus behavior. And so at each time when we went over a rule, they were able to point at which bus was doing the correct behavior, expected behavior, and lots of giggles. And I unfortunately was an unexpected behavior. So I got a talking to by a lot of our kindergartners at the end of the day saying, "You shouldn't have done that, Miss Stevens." But it was a lot of fun, and I think it hit the mark with what our expectations are on the bus. And we also, I shared last time with the positive bus slips that we've been doing, that has been a hit. The kids come in, they're so excited for someone in the office to recognize them. They run up with their bus slip and get to pick out of the prize box, and are just rewarded for their great behavior. Then they get to take it home and share it with their parents as well. We also started implementing it at Carrie Ricker as well, and have just been tallying the different students have been consistently recognized for their positive bus behavior, and we had the Golden Bus Awards at our assembly, so that was something fun that we did as well. We did some building our nest activities. Our Sunshine Committee went around with the kindness cart, and I think some of you may have seen this picture floating around of Jan with the kindness cart. It was the most wonderful pick-me-up. She went around each teacher's room, blasting some positive, fun music, and had them pick from the cart. And the kids just got to celebrate their teachers and kindness. It was really nice. You couldn't help but smile. And she did not miss anyone in the building. Everyone was recognized. Everyone got to be a part of that. So that was really nice. We also had our Libby Tozier Winter Craft Night. It was my first time being a part of that, and I've always heard really great things about it. But experiencing it firsthand and seeing how much of the community came was amazing. We had a green screen where kids could get their picture taken with various backgrounds with their families. They got to make up to 10 different crafts, and some families brought all of their kids and went through every single station. So it was pretty incredible to see. Amy, our tech guru at Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker did a wonderful job with making sure the green screen was all prepared. And then pre-K students also got to come down from their classes and be a part of the green screen too, which was really fun. They loved that. So a lot of building our nest, positive things happening at Libby Tozier. And I'll turn over to Dustin.
All right. Good evening. Report out on Carrie Ricker. So, Carrie Ricker has had an eventful past month. We wrapped up December with a standing room only concert that saw a record number of friends and family. The concert allowed for each third and fourth grader to participate in a number of ways, including drums, xylophone, piano, and even an electric guitar. The students sounded amazing. It's obvious the amount of time and effort that went into creating such a magical night. Of course, this could not have been done without the guidance of our amazing music teacher, Wade Johnston, and a large number of staff who volunteered their time to make sure students were in the right place, knew their words, and transitioned from one instrument to the other. We are hoping to replicate the concert again this spring when we combine art, music, and a book fair all into one fun-filled evening. Up here you'll see our winter assembly, where students took part in relay races, songs, and a visit from the Grinch. It was a great community building activity for our school that really left us on a positive note headed into winter break. In the classroom, we are starting many new units in math and literacy. Students have shown their talents in various ways in multiplication and division skills. From arrays to cup towers, students are able to show their understanding of math skills in many forms to show their growth and proficiency. In third grade, Mrs. Keeney's class up here hung up their "If You Give a Student a Pencil" stories. This was a way to show their informational writing skills and display them in a culminating activity up in the hall. Each student made tremendous progress throughout the writing process. Today marks our second week of school-wide PLG cycles. The PLG time we are using allows all staff to have the flexibility to meet with each other in small and large groups to have a productive and well thought out approach that betters our school as a whole. Each team of teachers has a different focus that they are working on over the next 6 weeks. We have a larger goal in place and then work as a team to create a pathway to meet them. Third and fourth grade are both focusing on math skills in their classroom. Teams are meeting on a regular basis to discuss student data, instruction practices, sharing great ideas, and how we can move forward with our students together. I'm very excited about the possibilities this work will provide for the future of our school as we continue to build our nest academically and emotionally. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Up next is Ms. St. Pierre, Ms. Pedner, and Ms. Arnold.
Okay. Hello, how are you this evening? This is for Sabatis Primary School. I'm Annie Arnold, the assistant principal. So November was a busy month with upcoming holiday seasons upon us, as well as parent-teacher conferences. The students participated in a school-wide activity called Disguise the Turkey. Those are 3 of my favorites. Pictured on the slide, you can see some of my favorite. I just said that, sorry. Everyone had a lot of fun with these, and they were on display for parent conference time. These were literally all over the walls. So there was so many, it was hard to pick my top 3, but. So conferences had a good turnout for being our first year back to fully in person after the pandemic. Both grade levels ended up having an 88% attendance at conference time, and the staff survey indicated that they continue to make plans with parents to meet or speak on the phone or reach out in some way and make that contact. This bulletin board was something we did at the conference time. It was basically a check out at the end of their conference where they were able to write something positive that they heard at the conference. And as you can see, there's lots of different ones, and sometimes the kids wrote it and sometimes the parents wrote it. So it was kind of a nice, fun, engaging family activity to end on a positive note. Next slide. December. This bulletin board shows, pictured on the right, shows our staff as they continue to build a strong nest for students. This is our community meeting. Oh, sorry, I'm going to read it. Parents were asked to share. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. December was even busier with the holiday craft night event on the 13th. Attended by 105 people. Numbers may have been lower than usual due to the absurdly windy weather and, of course, our abundant sickness at that time at SPS. But all who attended had so much fun. A shout out to David Mulcahy for being our Santa. That was amazing. Jolene Passant, our a second grade teacher at SPS, and one of our members of the leadership team. She did so much work to set it up and do a lot of the purchasing and planning for this event. And even her daughter came to help, so that was nice. Yep. And let's see. Also pictured on this slide is the winter concert put on by Ellis Gatsafava and the second graders. There's a link to the concert where you can watch the whole thing. It looks like that. It's snow time, a little QR code, but also there's a link that doesn't involve the QR code. It's on our Facebook page. If you want to check it out, www.facebook.com/SPS RSU4 Maine. They had a lot of fun. They did a really nice job with their songs and with their speaking parts. It was lots and lots and lots of students and families, even though we kind of had to spread them out on the floor and in the bleachers. It was a really good time. Next slide. Music was not the only artistic part of our holiday season at SPS. The visual arts were around the school as always, thanks to the creative projects with our art teacher, as well as many smaller projects within the classrooms. Shown on the slide, we can see the first grade penguins. These are directed drawings. They do many of these for each of the seasons, each of the months. There's usually a themed drawing. Second grade elves and a hallway display of evergreen trees and individualized ornaments sharing gratitude statements. I don't know why those elves look so angry and muscular, but many of them were this way, and those were my two favorites again. So, next slide. Students had another opportunity to express themselves with the Counselor's Month of Kindness campaign, which involves a public display of acts of kindness written inside a light bulb. You can see how they're kind of going around the bulletin board. They're also lining the cafeteria, and the goal is by the end of February to have those all the way around the entire cafeteria. And she's stringing lights along them as well, so they're catching the attention and showing how much kindness we do have at SPS. I want to take a minute to give a shout out to the important work that teachers are doing, planning and mapping the writing units of study with our literacy coach, Becky D'Alessandro, in their 6 weeks PD cycle. This work not only assures that students get what they need from the units, but the entirety of the curriculum gets covered consistently and with appropriate rigor. The teachers are also working hard to identify and unpack the standards within the units they are to report on through PowerSchool. And this work is aligned with our winter to spring writing goal of having 80% of our students move from on level in writing to the next level. From one level in writing to the next. It's hard work, and SPS teachers are attacking this work eagerly. Shout out to Becky D'Alessandro again for opening up her Thursday evenings to staff at SPS and Carrie Ricker. And actually anyone in those schools who are interested in participating, she's doing Thursday Thoughts, which is a virtual professional development string of development sessions that she's making. And she's got them all themed out with different topics, and the teachers can pick and choose which ones they want to attend. And they can also watch recordings afterwards and send in reflections, so they get this professional development that's really tailored towards what they need. Last on the slide, and perhaps the most telling of all, is our December community meeting. You can see where the picture where the giraffe is. The second graders, these are first graders. They are lined up there, but the second graders, on the top, you can see the second graders performing for the first graders. It's first graders facing the second graders as they perform their winter concert song, one of them. And the bottom, there's a video link, and this line of students is sharing something that they've learned in their classroom in that month. So I can play a little bit of it and let that speak for itself. Can we do that? Oh my God. Let me go give access. You can move on, and I'll come back.
While we wait,
Just check your email.
we'll move on. Can we move on to, while we wait?
Good evening. Oh, I'm doing this. Okay. All right. So at Oak Hill Middle School, we're going to start talking about professional development first. So as we continue to build our nest at the middle school, some of our professional development has been focused on committee work. We've established 5 different school-wide committees that consist of grade level and content area representatives, as well as support staff members. The committees consist of an advisory committee that's focused on strengthening the advisory work staff and students engage in daily, a climate and culture committee working to bring staff and students together to continue strengthening the community at Oak Hill Middle School, a PBIS committee that's working to build consistent school-wide expectations, an RTI data committee that's also been busy working on analyzing various forms of data ranging from anecdotal classroom data to our universal screening data using the NWEAs. While the scheduling committee has been really hard working on researching different middle school schedules as we prepare to build a school-wide schedule for the 23-24 school year. And looking ahead at our upcoming professional development day this Friday, staff will be trained to use research-based intervention programs for math and literacy, and they'll also be working on Tier 1 behavior interventions as a focal point of our training on Friday. With this in mind, we've made some class changes in the 8th grade as we work to prepare students for the transition to the high school. We will implement 4 blocks of interventions with a focus on reading, writing, and math. Interventions will be determined based on data and teacher input, and interventions will help to prepare the students for the transition again to the high school and beyond. So the culture and climate at the middle school, Miss Rebecca St. Pierre, her band and chorus students performed the winter concert for a full house on December 6th. And at the time of the performance, band students had only been practicing learning their instruments for a few very short weeks. Since the performance, band and chorus members have increased dramatically. The increase can also be contributed to a visit by the high school band and chorus students led by Mr. Fuller. Before winter break, the high school band and chorus students visited the middle school and they performed, and it was a huge success for all. The high school students extended their visit that day and chose to have lunch with some of our middle schoolers to continue chatting about the high school band and chorus program. The week leading up to winter break, as you can see, was a busy one for staff and students. Throughout the week, the Student Council hosted dress-up days that both staff and students participated in. Some activities around the school included creating cardboard gingerbread houses, ugly sweaters, and a classroom-sized obstacle course, similar to what some of you might remember as the game Mousetrap. Mrs. Hudner was the brave guinea pig led through the maze, blindfolded by our 5th graders, and I'm happy to say that she made it out unharmed so she could be with us tonight. It was risky.
Looking at the whole student, in November, the Student Council collected food for holiday baskets to share with families in the community at Thanksgiving. They also collected food to contribute to the high school food drive for their winter collection. Advisory is a crucial component in supporting our students' social emotional well-being. Some of the team building challenges that took place around the school were candy cane races. Another challenge was one where advisory groups competed to build the tallest tower with only index cards. On the first day, they were allowed to talk with one another, and then on the second day, they had to work silently. These are only a few examples of the positive interactive advisory lessons our staff and students are working on to build trust and confidence in each other and themselves. A survey was sent out to all students. As you can see from their feedback, students find that advisory is helping them to learn more about others in their school, and it provides them with a safe space to share and have meaningful conversations. On the academic front, a snapshot from 8th grade science students have been constructing mousetrap cars using all they have learned so far this year. This week, they worked together to race their cars, calculating speed and distance travel. In 6th grade, math students are learning about measurement. In small groups, they were tasked with categorizing units of measurement as they determine which category to place terms in. And we are looking forward to the start of the second semester on January 23rd. Any questions?
Yeah, we're gonna play the video first.
Katie, right beside you is the TV remote for volume. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Aliberti and his garnet sizes.
Oh. I mean, maybe. We'll find out. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Nice to see you. Sam and I are excited to share the most recent happenings at Oak Hill High School. And we start with student life, where clubs and organizations lead the way. No, this way. There we go. There it is, right here. The newly formed Oak Hill High School Humor Squad, advised by teacher Emily Sue Barker, performed an improv night full of hilarious skits. Squad members wowed the crowd with skits like Beastie Boys rap and press conference, which displayed their quick wit and comedic reflexes. Just give you an idea. So press conference is where some of the members become press members, and the person that they're interviewing doesn't know who they are. They have to leave the room. They give them a name of who it is. This person was Taylor Swift, and so they give them all kinds of clues as to, in question form, to guess who they are, which is pretty fun. Music teacher Gary Fuller was extremely busy overseeing the Broadway night, band, and chorus concerts, and a new rock band concerts. All three events showcase students' musical and vocal skills. It is wonderful to see such growth in our students' skills as they practice and progress through the first semester. The music room, for those of you guys that don't know this, is located right across the hall from the main office. And it makes me happy to be able to hear them day after day after day practice to the point of public performance. Holiday baskets continue. Oh, let me skip it ahead here. Wait. Norma Jean, come on now. Come on. Yeah. Jeez. We'll get it together. Holiday baskets continue to be a source of pride for Oak Hill. Angela Roy and Liz Tibbetts, along with their Future Business Leaders of America, or FBLA, and Oak Hill Legislative Assembly, OHLA membership, helped coordinate, fundraise, and deliver gifts, food, and gift cards to 40 families throughout the district, which reached 87 students, which is pretty fantastic. Area businesses sponsored each family and provided enough items. It essentially filled the entirety of room 133, which is the old home ec room. It is humbling to witness the deliveries as families drive up to an entrance of the school and fill their cars with everything they need to celebrate the holiday season. The Oak Hill High School student body celebrated the holidays by participating in the annual holiday assembly. Students immersed themselves in the holiday spirit by singing songs and watching an epic performance by staff members Derek Cody, Jack Carney, Gary Fuller, and Ron Caswell of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I think Bruce Springsteen would have been proud of that performance.
We don't have a video.
Video?
No, I don't have a video.
Copyright rule, right?
Right. We do not. The bar just got hit. The bar's here now, Marco. The bar's here.
I'm going to go with Robbie. And Robbie said that there's copyright problems there, so that's why there's no video. Duly noted, everybody. Make sure that there's a video in there next time. Let's see. Next slide. Jeez. You guys are the other way.
It's a tough crowd tonight.
I know, right? What happened to you guys? Anyway, our attendance and behavior data for the month of December is listed on the left. We had 15 days during the month, and you can see the total attendance. It was 15 student days, not just 15 days total for the month. You can see the total attendance for each grade along with office referrals, and we continue to monitor and intervene student attendance by reviewing data weekly, developing goals and interventions for students in need of support. And I'm going to turn it over to Sam so that she can talk a little bit more about the behavior aspects of things.
Thank you, Marco. So just diving in a little bit deeper with the discipline, we had talked earlier this year about how one of our school-wide goals at the high school was to reduce the office-managed behavior referrals by 25%. So some staggering figures from last year. We had 573 office-managed referrals. And so it seemed like a good goal to bring that down. So what you're looking at, I know the numbers are going to be hard to read because it's small up there, but hopefully you'll get the gist from the bars on the graph. So purple is this current year, SY 22-23. Green is last year, 21-22. And so you can see, how we're doing month to month so far this year. So just a little bit more information to make that graph kind of come to life for you and like let you know how we're doing with our progress towards that goal. So if you think of the numbers, 573 referrals reduced by about 25% means we want about 144 less referrals this year. So year to date, just to put the numbers up there for you, we currently have 228 office managed referrals versus 260 year to date last year. So we are down about 12.3%. So it's not our goal of 25%, but it's progress. And so hopefully the work that we continue to do as a staff and with PBIS implementing that at the high school will pay yields and dividends. And we've made some changes to some of our management strategies with different student behaviors, which will also hopefully pay some yields. So speaking in regard to PBIS, we also have some committee work happening at the high school and just, bringing it in line with the conversation about office referrals and behavior management. Our PBIS committee has met twice already this year. And so far we've been working on developing or reworking like our behavior, or response to behavior, and putting that into a behavior flow chart. So trying to keep in line with all of the schools in the district. I've had some conversation with Dustin and Amy about, what their student handbook looks like at those grade levels and what we can kind of carry over for consistencies, and just trying to stay on the same page as we, progress through that work. Every building is in a different place, but we're working hard on that behavior flow chart and hope to have that finished by the next time the committee meets. And then the next work of the committee will be developing a positive incentive system for our students. We have, a large population of our students that come to school every day, and they're working hard reaching those positive behavior expectations. So having an incentive system for that would be the work of the committee. Next up. You have anything else? Okay.
Who's got the video?
Yeah, I was working on the video while she was talking, Vicki. Yep. Finally, I would like to take a moment to publicly thank Sam for her intelligence, hard work, and dedication to our Oak Hill High School community. As her time as assistant principal is coming to an end, It's been a sincere pleasure to work with Sam, and Oak Hill High School wishes her the best in her new role as business manager. So thank you, Sam.
Yes.
Any questions? Yes, Robbie.
Sam, is there any way that you can, what's causing that spike in October and November? Do you know? And how many of those were repeat?
Yeah, I
referrals?
mean, I'm not sure I can answer that specifically, but I have some more data for you just about like category and stuff. So
Okay.
one of the really nice things about Power School is that it has a quick way for you to access what the categories are for behavior. So if you're looking for like the heavy categories, like what's showing up a lot, inappropriate behavior, inappropriate language, disrespect to staff. Those are the things that are coming up quite a bit. Some of you are aware we do have, substance use, which is a heavy hitter. So possession and use totals 23 of the 228 so far. And some of those are repeats, but I am happy to say that the in-depth program that we talked about with the SRO, out of the 11 students who have completed that program in its entirety, 8 out of 11 of those have not had a repeat offense since the in-depth program. Well, that's
Well,
wonderful.
that was my next question, was the effectiveness of the RSO compared, we didn't have last year to what we have now.
Yeah.
I hope we see like those numbers going down.
Yeah, I agree. So that's one of the things that when we reviewed that in detail at the CAI, the request had been to kind of track that data. So there's a spreadsheet that has, list of students that have been referred, what the date of their referral is, how many offenses they've had, and there's some anecdotal notes too about whether
Right.
they've had a repeat since the program. So we'll have that information for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll work on that video.
Thank you.
So moving on, director's report will be next meeting. Student rep report is also next meeting. There are no other reports. We'll move on to 6, old business. To approve the second reading of the following policies. So first one is JIC, Student Code of Conduct.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All is in favor? All those opposed? Next is JK, Student Discipline.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on that one? Bob?
Yeah, so when we made the one correction in paragraph C, or subparagraph C, it says disciplinary to the facts. So she'll have the discretion to tailor disciplinary to the facts. It should be disciplinary actions or consequences or something.
Okay.
And then just for all of them, there's some formatting, at least the ones I got online, I hadn't looked at here. Some formatting discrepancies. The printouts look pretty good, but.
Any other further discussion? Seeing as none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay. Next is JKD, suspension of students.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Seeing as none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay. And JKE, expulsion of students.
So moved.
Any further discussion? No? Seeing as none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? We will move on to new business. To elect Stephanie Fife as grade 7 literacy teacher at Oak Hill Middle School as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Any discussion? Is she here? Come on up. I'm sure Bob has a question for you. Welcome.
Welcome. All right, I'm ready, Bob.
Okay. So I'm always interested to hear from our candidates why they have chosen to come and work for us in RSU4.
That's a great question.
It has been over the time. I've got some really bad answers, right?
Yeah? Well, I hope I have a good answer. And actually, they don't even know this. It never came up. But
I have a lot of ties to the Litchfield, Sabattis area, and those of you that have been around here for a really long time, if you remember Litchfield Corner Store way back in the day, my grandmother owned that store and lived up above it, and her family ran it as she was growing up as a little kid. And I'm related to Carrie Ricker, and we have a lot of history here. And unfortunately, we were surprised. My grandmother passed on Thanksgiving Day, 2 weeks after her husband, my grandfather, had passed. And we just have this long history of education and teaching in my family. And I used to be in the classroom, and then I wasn't in the classroom. And so when doors need to open, they open. And so I know, my grandmother is just pleased as punch that I'm going back into the classroom. So, and in the best place. So I hope that was an okay answer.
Perfect, thank you. Any answer is fine. It's just
No, you said that there were some bad ones before.
well, there weren't really. Everybody's had a good answer.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any others? Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, so with no further discussion, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
All right, we'll move down to committee reports. Finance Facilities is next. Meeting, Personnel Policy Committee.
Yes, we were very busy today. We reviewed quite a few policies, which will be coming to you for first reading at our next meeting. So we reviewed policy JICC, which is student conduct on school buses, JICC-R, which is student conduct on bus through schools, JICCA, which is student conduct at bus stops, EEAEF, which is video cameras on transportation vehicles, and KF-E, which is the community use of school facilities request form. We actually made a decision at the policy committee that the community use of school facility request form should not be included in the policy, and it should just be a form that can be used by Jonathan. So you will not see that for a vote. We also reviewed some policies which were new to us for the first time, which is ABC, which is a policy that we already have on the books but needs some tremendous revamping around tobacco-free schools, the use and possession of tobacco and electronic smoking devices. Katie actually had some input from Healthy Kennebec County and Androscoggin. So that's something that we reviewed. GCFB-R, which is the procedure, recruiting and hiring of administrative staff. GCSA, which is the employee computer and internet use, and then GCSA-R, which are the rules, employee computer and internet use rules. So lots of policies.
You were busy.
Coming your way.
Any questions? No? All right. Next would be CIA Technology will be next meeting. And number 9 is for board comments. Anyone?
Joe? Yeah, I'd like to say something. We lost our bus mechanic about 3 weeks ago, Mike Hannigan. And he was the town mechanic before we formed the RSU. And he worked on our bus, and I've known Mike for 35 years. And I want to say that Mike's work for the district has saved the district thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't know how many times we had buses that weren't able to be put back on the road because of frames or motors, and we would store them behind his shop in Green, and he would scavenge parts off of them, seats, transmissions, tires, so there was nothing but a shell left and went to the junkyard when we got done with them. So Mike will be sorely missed, and I think that it would be great if we could recognize him somehow, even if it's, with a plaque or something like that, because he was a tremendous asset to RSU4.
There is a scholarship fund that has been set
Yes.
up in his name specifically for students that are going into the trades.
Yeah.
So if anybody would care to donate to that, I can get the information for you.
It might be good to post to like the website or.
Yeah, his
Facebook or
scholarship
something
fund.
too, when
Yeah,
that-
that's a good idea. Yeah, send that, we'll post that.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No? All right. Number 10, we will enter into executive session. To enter into executive session pursuant of 1 MRSA 4056D to consult with the school board attorney regarding professionals' collaborative bargaining agreement negotiations.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? It is, thank you. We will enter.
All right.
Have a good night.